Hey! Märklin's just released their fall new items catalog. Let's see what's inside after the titles. Hey everybody! Anthony Dodge, the model train outsider, Märklin outsider, a Night of the Rhomboid table here with a look at the just released this morning 2025 Märklin Fall New Items Catalog. So let's jump right into it and see what's inside. Now, obviously, the cover has a Class 18.3 on it. They just released this in HO a couple of years ago, but looking at this picture, that looks like this is bigger. This catalog has HOZ and 1 scale. I'm betting this is a 1 scale, and if it is a 1 scale, it's gonna cost a fortune. But anyhow, let's get into the catalog and see what's inside. Okay, so we start off with a Spalterbuckel, and I know nothing about this other than it says it's a Class 98.3, a Glaskasten, a glass box. And a quick perusal on the story, it was also known as the Bockerel, or Franconian German, it's a Bockel. And this was first designed in the 1900s, it says, but this image is a restoration version from 1962. And this was designed apparently to do passenger services in the kind of hard to reach places. They needed something strong but small, and this is what that is. Again, I'm reading the history there. If you want more on it, go ahead and read it. Other people may know the full story. So since it's a passenger car, I'm assuming a passenger train, I'm assuming there'll be passenger cars to go with it. Yes, and these are, it's interesting because I don't think, let me double check. No, it doesn't say it there, but the cars are MHI, Märklin Händlers Initiative, which is the Märklin Dealers Initiative. You have to agree to certain standards by Märklin, sell certain amounts of product and so forth. And if you do, then you get these special released models that can't be sold anywhere else. And Lipa is now a part of MHI. They've made a deal to sell these. So anyhow, yeah, some very nice Aero 1 Bavarian passenger coaches. So, you know, pretty cool, pretty sharp. Not something that I would get myself, but yeah, it's cool, and it's kind of very unique. If I go back to that steam locomotive, very unique. They call it the Glaskasten, clearly with all the windows and so on it. That's probably where it gets its name. Okay, a Era 5, so that would be 80s to 2000, early 2000, mid 80s to early 2000, that period in there. But the locomotive itself goes back to the 60s, I believe. And it's obviously weathered and faded, so how it would have looked after a couple of decades of extended service. But it's a Class 151 electric locomotive, faded and weathered. I don't know if it's any retooling from earlier versions of the 151, because they did recently release a 151 in Era 5 livery, nice and bright red with the white ends. And this is just a faded version. And some more details on it, but looks like they're releasing some tankers to go with it. And bing, there they are, also weathered. Era 5, I like these, and these tankers probably would have carried into Era 6, which is the era I primarily do. But yes, we all know, or if you follow this channel, I now have all kinds of trains in stock from all eras, but I still favor Era 6. But these would look good going around my layout. Okay, some more MHI, but Haribo or Haribo candy cars, a special 3-car set. Our friend Jean Ricard bought my grandson a Haribo candy refrigerated car. This is that standard car that whenever they're doing some sort of specialty novelty release, it's just the same car and they pop it on. Although in this case, you do have a couple of different types of cars, and that with the brakeman's cab on it. Okay. Okay. An E10, I don't know much about these. I apologize, but I just like to see what they're offering. So it's Era 3. So this is, again, post World War II into the late 60s, and probably would have seen service into the 70s. I like the color, very sharp. The details are nice for what it is. Very cool. Obviously, a prototype for eventual models to come. And there's the original that this is the model of. And here's a Class 115. I like this. Not that I would necessarily buy it, but it's a 115 and it's Era 6, which begins early 2000s. I just like the way it looks here. It's an older style locomotive that probably goes back into Era 4. But some of these are still in service. I don't know if 115s, but the 113s, 114s, 115s. When Joyce and I were in Rostock earlier this year, we saw two 114s pulling passenger service. So some of these are still around in service, even though I believe they were technically recalled and taken out of service. But this is as it looked in 2014. But you can see from the picture that's much longer ago. They started as a freight, the luggage and mail train service, and they moved it to passenger service. But very sharp. I love the detailing on that. I love the colors sticking out, the reds and and that charcoal black. And it's kind of a cool design for a locomotive. And speaking of old designs of locomotives, here is a Class 181. And this is the SEL, which is the Schlunz Eisenbahnlogistik. This is a new color scheme, a new design, putting it in the retro colors of the 1970s in Germany. But this is as it looks today. This is basically a museum piece, a heritage piece, and it's going to be at the, I already knew this, it's the actual version of this model is going to be at the Märklin Days, which is a big celebration they have every September. I would like to go one of these years to Märklin Days, but a lot of clubs and that all go over there and they do other things. But yeah, the actual version this is based on will be there. But this is an old Class 181. I love it. The old 70s livery, the big white front, and just the detailing, the windows, the grills, and so forth. This is a very sharp loco. It's a novelty museum piece. Again, I don't know if circumstance came, I might pick it up. But it's called the Gopingen because that's where the factory is for Märklin. But not something I would rush out and buy. But then there's this. Ooh, that's cool. And it's got Deutsche Bahn, but it's also got ALP on it. European Locomotive Pool, leased to German Rail, so to Deutsche Bahn. This is sort of like those 249 dual modes that I have, the Märklin logo one and the Deutsche Bahn one by Stadler. But this is bigger. I mean, I just look at that model and it's bigger. And so I'm reading around the tooling there. 10.5 inches long. So yeah, 10 3/8, but almost 10.5. And over 600 grams. That's heavy duty. I'm putting that in the class with my big Viba V320, the big yellow locomotive I have, because that's a big fella that weighed close to 700 grams. So this is a big one. This is longer and weightier, very sharp, and it's got, what is that, operating digitally switchable roof fans. Okay, kind of cool. You know me, I'm a sucker for functions. Uh, 4 of 6 axles drive. That's good. First time for the model railway market with a coupling compartment lighting. Wow, that's interesting. And all this other tooling. This is on the maybe. I don't know if I will order it because this is probably going to be 500 to 600 euros, dollars. I'll see what Lipa has it at, but you know, things are in the air about ordering from Lipa right now just because of the situation as it is, let's say. But that's cool. I would not mind seeing that run in my layout. That's definitely a possible pre-order. And here it is with some freight. I love those freight that it's hauling. But they're releasing some flatbeds to go with it. Double pocket cars. Okay. Oh, and here's the Druno. They just released this, the 501 Druno. They released it a year or so ago. So with new route as EC151. Okay, so it's basically the same one they released a year or so ago, but with a new route running number. And these are gorgeous. These are gorgeous. I do not feel the need to get a Druno. That is a southern, well, it's a Swiss train that runs into Italy and Germany. And this route is Frankfurt-Milano. So northern Italy to southern Germany, well, central Germany, really. But I do love them. They're sharp looking. And all the details. And then, of course, the add-on car sets. 3 of them. So you can make a pretty long car. All right, this is some rolling road flatbeds for semi-trucks and industrial equipment. And then there's a Ralpine, which is a private Swiss company for rail transport. Ralpine passenger cars. So that would be like you would have industrial equipment and semi-trucks and whatever else on that. And then the workers and technicians and so forth for that equipment would ride in the passenger car. So since they got a rolling road and the Ralpine passenger car, and I know for a fact Märklin has not released a Ralpine locomotive. It's a little weird because normally they show the locomotive and then the stuff that goes with it, but there it is. Okay. So it had to be. So a Class 185, or I'm sorry, Class 186 Ralpine locomotive with dual liveries. It's got the Ralpine livery on one side and then the Swiss Cargo Federation logo on the other side. So very cool. The flatbeds are very interesting. And they 3 from Märklin, 1 from Trix, and you can get all 4 and run it on the Märklin system. If you got DC, you'd have to get wheel sets to switch out the uninsulated, the non-insulated wheel sets that come on Märklin vehicles. All right, let's get going. Okay, a French class BB 22-200. Nicely detailed, classic Era 4 Western European design. You see these type of locomotives in everywhere from the Netherlands, Belgium, Luxembourg, France, some even in Italy. It's a gorgeous model, if I can say that. It just, aesthetically, I've never liked these models, and yet they're hugely popular, and model train guys love them. But I always, they look like 4-piece toasters. I've never aesthetically liked these. I'm sorry, my friend Tom, who's got a bunch of these and puts videos out of his different versions, and I know they're popular. It's not one I would ever own or have. And more detailing. I mean, the detailing's fine. It looks great, but just not my style. Oh, now here's my style. This looks like the same as that one, which was a 2159, and this is a Class 2019, but it's all the same, and I'm betting it's the same chassis, the same Märklin chassis, and then different shells on it, because it looks in a lot of ways identical to that Other than the paneling on the side. The grills are different on this one. But definitely like this model. In fact, it would be a toss up. I just like the vibrancy of the Deutsche Bahn red, but you can have so much red and it all loses it. But I do love that earlier Stadler 2159, the dual mode. And this is just as big, lots of detail. I like the color pattern on here, it just feels muted. I've seen Rail Force 1 Vectrons, I believe, but I've not seen this when we were in Germany. But this is sharp. I like that, so I could be talked into that. But all sorts of new, 4 newly designed pantographs with different contact strips. Okay. So this obviously has multinational, whereas the other one's more German. This one's multinational. Oh, now see, there is a live picture of it, and those colors are much more vibrant in that picture than they are on the model. So hopefully the model, it's just kind of a muted picture, because if it's that vibrant, I like that. I like that a lot. I could see one or both being on my list, but I'm sure they're going to cost a lot of money because Märklin's already announced price increases and the situation of ordering from Germany. And to go along with this freight hauler, we have a couple of double container transport cars. I mean, these are, they change, you got some Belgium MSC containers on these, but these flatbeds are fairly common, consistently made by Märklin. All right, and here is a novelty train. 60 years of Märklin magazine. There's no official nomenclature on this. This is a novelty. This doesn't exist in reality. There's not a Class 185 with this. And it's identical to the Class 185 Euro 2024 I just bought in Germany. Gold couplers and golden pantographs. It's cool. I don't want to knock it. I would not buy this because I already got a novelty with the gold and the gold. And of course, if you don't like all the gold but think it looks cool, you could paint the gold down to a more metallic real color. But Märklin releases magazine cars every year, and you can see a bunch of them down there. So 60 years of the magazine. It's a Class 185, one of the greats. I need a Class 185 that isn't a gimmick 185. I need just either a private company or a Deutsche Bahn 185. This will not be it. Okay, so Wacken, which is a big heavy metal music outdoor concert festival, they're releasing a couple of cars. Yeah, it's 2 cars. It looks like it's 3, but what they're showing you is the top car has something different on each side. And again, it's that standard refrigerator car, but with the livery. So they use these for everything. The Märklin magazine cars, the beer wagons, etc., etc., etc. Just that same standard car. So, couple celebrating the Wacken outdoor concert. And slightly different top on this. This is a different type of refrigerator car, and this is the Märklin magazine, Märklin catalog. Sorry, not Märklin magazine, Märklin catalog. They've been running the series for a while, last few years, and the first year they released, I think, like 2 or 3 catalogs. And then they've released one each year since, and this is the 1936 catalog. Kind of cool looking, in all honesty. And now we get into Z scale, so this is the little stuff. Now T scale is obviously the smallest, but this is Z scale, which was the smallest for a long time. This is MHI exclusive. It is a Class 261. Yeah, 261. With some Deutsche Bundespost cars with it, covered freight cars, as they say. It's cool looking enough for its era, era 4. It's interesting because I was just a channel I watched, the Third Rail. He just got an old Märklin HO version of that locomotive that he is fixing up and putting on his channel. And then you get this Class 64 steamer, which they call it in photo livery, which kind of means sort of grayscale. It's cool looking enough for what is that? It's a 262 wheel formation. It's kind of cool. I'd like a bigger picture of it. And then a class 360 diesel shunter, standard. And then what's this? A ballast car made with real bronze, the Märklin Z Investment Casting Edition. Wow. I don't remember the last one they did, but it's like they make these out of precious metals or whatever, and the idea is, you're investing in these. Kind of silly in my opinion, but if it draws people in to spend their money, it is what it is, right? So yeah. All right. This would be cool in HO. Class 143 Era 5 locomotive with some Zilberlingas. I believe those are Zilberlingas. But very, very sharp looking cars and a nice little set for Z scale. Again, Z scaling detail has really gone through the roof in the last 10 years, I think. Just really sharp. And speaking of that, here is a Swedish Vectron. Märklin just released this train in HO 2-3 years ago, and now it's in Z scale. The Schnötayet, I don't do Swedish well, but nice group of 4 cars. You get a 3-car set and a single car, and this is a train that runs from Berlin up into Sweden, and really sharp looking for Z scale. I mean, even for HO scale, that's nicely detailed. Very sharp. Okay, so here it is, and as I guessed, it's 1 scale. Okay, which means this thing's going to cost thousands of dollars. It says it's available immediately, which means I could Google what the price is. I'll check it later. But yeah, this is going to cost thousands. A Class 18, a refurbished Class 18. Class 18s go back to after World War One, and then after World War II, a bunch of them were repurposed, streamlined a bit, and many of them were used in East Germany, and this is the DRG livery, I believe, the Baumberg Sweetheart. And here you get a history of it. How one of 24H locomotives built in Baden ended up in East Germany as part of their 18.3 series. So for the Deutsche Reichsbahn. So you can read this story on the locomotive, but it's a big Class 18, and it's very sharp. I mean, the color stands out, beautiful detailing, but with 1 scale you can get all the little nuances in. It's impressive. And more looking into the details, inside looks, and that, very, very cool. That's a sharp. The people that got the money to spend a few thousand on that are going to be very happy, I'm sure. And oh yeah, if you look in the upper right hand corner, also available. So other variations of it with different paint schemes. You can see there's much darker green here and a dark green with the white stripe as well. So you can get it in 3 different running colors. Pretty cool. And then we have the Class 160 electric shunter here with driver. I mean, all the 1 scale have the drivers built in. So yeah, it's 1 scale. I couldn't even hazard a guess what that would cost. Not nearly as much as that steamer. But 1 scale is expensive. Hundreds of dollars at the minimum. And a delivery truck. Funny thing is, this Magirus Merkur 120S, I know nothing about that other than this looks very familiar to a car. When my students and I stayed in Pirna outside of Dresden in 2014, when we had to leave, we had to walk to the station, and a guy that works part-time with the hostel we were at said, hey, I can take all your luggage and meet you at the train station so you don't have to carry it while you walk to the train station. And it was really nice of him. So he loaded it all up, and then we walked down and he drove up and handed it to us. Really nice guy. And it was a truck very similar to this, older in green color, but it was old. It was old, but it looked a lot like this. Anyhow, so a little pickup truck. And then this is probably the last thing in the catalog. It is the International Model Railroading Day celebration car. So this is an HO scale car they release each year for International Model Railroading, and it's got pictures on it, and it's got pictures on each side. So, all right, so that is the catalog. All right, so that was a quick look, believe it or not, going through the catalog. Definitely like those dual power things. The Rail Force One tempts me, although it looked muted in its model picture, where the Deutsche Bahn red was very vibrant. But I would be happy with either one. So I'll see what the cost is going to be. I'm expecting close to 600 euros starting price. We'll see what the price comes down to at Lipa. But yeah, those are the ones that stand out to me. Obviously, they had a lot of different eras there. Era 1, Era 2, 3, Eras 3 and 4. A lot of things there. A lot of cool retro locomotives. The 181 and the 151 both really stood out to me. You got the Giruno high speed. That it's a gorgeous train, just not one that will be in my collection. The only ones that are tempting for me to buy, maybe that 181, but the temptation really is low. But then one of those two powered dual power locos, and it also depends on when they're going to come out and what's going to be announced for the 2026 year, because I'll assume both those models won't be out until 2026. On that note, I want to thank you for sticking around this long if you did, and I'm going to say Auf Wiedersehen, tschüss, and happy trains. Take care, everybody.